a bird. It's a plane. It's
Jason J. Lewis, the voice of Superman on Justice League Action. This is Mark Wade, writer of Superman Birthright, and you're listening to
the All Things Kryptonian podcast, including Superman and Supergirl.
We discuss games, movies, cartoons, TV shows, and comics.
Find us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Twitter. Welcome to the Krypton Report. This is a special episode that was kind of impromptu by recent events, and I just wanted to take a few moments. Also, if you're listening to this episode, you'll realize our episode numbers are a little off because we had everything pre-recorded for some specials and ready to go, and I'm in the process of moving, so it made it much more difficult when this happened. But technically, this is episode 200. Enjoy. This episode is going to be talking about the late and great Richard Donner. Now, Richard Donner, for a lot of fans, most notably known for Superman. And he directed one Superman movie, technically. It gets a little mucky, but he set the standard for many, many superhero movies to follow. I mean, currently, both Wonder Woman and Batman Begins looked at the template and style of Superman the movie from Richard Donner. So I'd like to just take you on just a conversation piece. There's some great podcasts out there with people who had worked with Donner who are coming out and are saying what a great man he was. One of the podcasts that I thoroughly enjoy, Comic Book Central, just repost the link, and so did we share their link for an interview that was done, I want to say 4 or 5 years ago with Donner, and it's great. Just check it out. So let's get into some of his great works. Now, as a director, he has many credits. I'm going to hit the high notes that people know. It'll really help just kind of cement who he was. He did TV for a while, building up his repertoire. And it wasn't till 1976 with the movie The Omen, which I believe was like his third film and first major film. The others have been like TV movies, I believe. I'm not 100% positive everything at the beginning here. Broke out, and The Omen was a huge success based on the horror craze of the 70s after The Exorcist. The Omen would later be remade. Wonderful. But then after that, 1978 was when he got Superman. And Superman, of course, is what he's most known for, I believe. Which is kind of weird because I feel like in some ways it might not be. Because some people might think of some of his other later films, but because I know a lot of people who are in the Superman circuit, so it's hard to think of it. Now, Superman is currently streaming on HBO Max. The next film, which is where I said it gets murky, Superman 2. There are two different cuts of Superman 2. There's Superman 2, and then there's Superman 2, the Richard Donner cut. The reason is because Superman was trying to be filmed both movies at the same time. They had to close down production and release a film. That's why it gets very mucky, because the original ending of Superman the movie was much different than what we got, because this turning back time was supposed to be the ending of Superman 2. Now, if you were to watch the Richard Donner cut of the film, it starts weird because it starts with the idea of how his Superman movie would have ended. So it shows you what his Superman 1, how it would have ended, and then takes you on the journey of his Superman. So it's kind of weird because, there's these two cuts of this film, and that is also, Superman 2 is streaming on HBO Max. And it is the Richard Lester, which contains a lot of Donner footage because how it works. Now, let's keep going. 1985 saw the release of two films, Ladyhawke being one, that my mom was a big fan of, that I watched a long time ago, because we actually hunt that movie down. It is a very interesting film. And if you're not familiar with it, basically it stars a young Michelle Pfeiffer, where she is cursed. And basically she turns to, if I remember correctly, she turns to a hawk by day, and her lover is human. And then at night, she is a person and her lover is another. Very interesting. A young Matthew Broderick is in it, so definitely worth checking. It is not streaming. I am double checking everything as we are talking to see if it is streaming anywhere. It is not. Now, the next one is a staple of many people's young childhood, and a movie that definitely had legacy to it, which was Goonies. Goonies is not streaming, which is sad because it should. And if you're like, Goonies, what's Goonies? Well, I take that back. Goonies is on HBO Max. Sorry, it took a second for this to load. Awesome. Goonies is on HBO. We have some music videos. And then in 1987, this is where I say that his movies might be, think of Lethal Weapon. I am a huge fan of the Lethal Weapon franchise. All 4 of the films are on HBO Max right now, streaming. I love all the Lethal Weapon movies. Over the years, it's been a little bit more difficult keeping certain actors over in their personal lives. But, that's what separating the art from the artist is. So, Scrooged, Christmas staple with Bill Murray in 1988. It's on Hulu. Stream away. I know it's not Christmas time, but we don't need a reason to talk about Bill Murray. 89, saw Lethal Weapon 2. Radio Flyer. This is one that I forgot was a Donner film. And I remember seeing when I was young, and it was just, child abuse was in it. It was disturbing. It is not streaming. 92, also saw Lethal Weapon 3. And then one of my personal favorites that I think a lot of people forget, and what's sad is the day before Richard's passing, I actually mentioned this movie. I quoted it to my wife a lot, is Maverick. 1994's Maverick. Mel Gibson, Jodie Foster, and James Gardner. Terrific Richard Donner. It's wonderful. I can't praise it enough. If you're not sure, please check it out. Let's see. Assassins in 1995 was his next film. And I saw this one, but I don't remember it, to be honest with you. It's Stallone and Antonio Banderas. 97, saw Conspiracy Theory, which is another one of those films that I saw a lot as a child just because my mom actually really liked this film. It was one of those that we had the VHS, and it played a lot in our house. It's on HBO. Lethal Weapon 4 followed in 98, and then we get a little bit of a break. And it's kind of crazy thinking 98, and Donner's next film did not appear until 2003's Timeline, based on the Michael Crichton book. And it's on Hulu. And I thought that was the last film that he had directed, because I did see that one. It's a fun movie. But the last movie he directed was 16 Blocks, and that was in 2006. That is not streaming. That is a very vast, large legacy of direction, okay? Now, his producer credits, all over the place. I mean, we'll just hit some of the high points, and I'll go through them quickly. I won't. Other than films that he directed, because he was very much an active producer on films that he directed, starting with Lady Hawk. So let's go through it. Movie The Lost Boys, executive producer. Free Willy, executive producer. Free Willy 2. The Omen 2V. Oh, I forgot about that. Just says 1995. Tales from the Crypt, executive producer. Executive reviews on the Tales from the Crypt films. Free Willy 3. Double Tap, 97. Any Given Sunday. X-Men. I knew about the X-Men. X-Men Origins Wolverine. I knew about that one. And those are films that he helped produce other than films. So a man is more than just the things that he directed. And I've recently watched a lot, excuse me. He has, I just want to point this out, a lot of cameos in his movies. Superman 2, Superman, he's a man in the diner, man on the street. The Goonies, he's a policeman. Maverick, he's a dealer. Timeline, he's man in car. Conspiracy theory, can't even talk. Cab passenger. And 16 Blocks, man holding a birthday. Now, I recently watched more interviews just that I had seen some of the things that he said. And I watched, focused on Superman, of course. And you could tell that the reason why he's so beloved, and what's sad is now with Donner's passing, the 3 men who really crafted Superman the film, Richard Donner, Tom Mankiewicz, and Christopher Reeve, have all passed. And I won't go into the whole production history of that film, that series. He laid the template. And a word that I had never heard of that became very popular in Richard Donner discussing Superman was verisimilitude. And they took Superman serious. And even today, I think, I was talking with some friends today about how one generation of movie makers or stories that do something, and it's supposed to be serious and not campy. But then the next generation watch it, and we laugh, and it's kind of campy. I mean, I think a great comparison is watching Batman Begins and watching Batman 89, where Batman 89 is dark and serious, and you're like, there's still some camp there. And I think Superman the movie, for the most part, holds up very strong. At least the first half, extremely strong, with the camp being not point. I think there's some parts later on in the film that you could say. But I believe what they made was they were true to the character, and that's what's created the legacy. Now, what's great is you even remove that film from Richard Donner's canon, the man's still an amazing director. I mean, the Lethal Weapon movies have so many quotable lines, and the style and the buddy cop formula comes from the director and, screenwriter combination. But you see things in Goonies and in Maverick, and his just strength as a filmmaker will be missed. As a person, like, it's one of those people, I would always wanted to meet him. What's great is Jeff Johns, the comic book writer, actually got to work for him as an assistant, and he was actually working with him during the time of Conspiracy Theory. And that's when Jeff's sister passed, Courtney, who would later be immortalized as the new Stargirl, Courtney Whitmore. And Jeff talked years ago on the good Fat Man on Batman podcast, and he told stories about how Donner was just an exemplary man to work for and helped him in that family tragedy and crisis. Richard Donner was born April 24th, 1930. He was born under the name Richard Donald Schwarzenberg. And, of course, that got changed. He died July 5th, 2021 in Los Angeles, California at the age of 91. And thinking about that, like, he was old. He lived his life, and what's even crazier is he was, think about this, for the man who went on to direct Superman, he was 8 years old when Action Comics came out. 8 years old. He grew up in New York with Russian parents, Russian Jewish parents. That is even a connection there. He wanted to be a photographer, and after school he joined the U.S. Navy as an aerial photographer. He had briefly attended New York University, but left to pursue a career in acting. When he relocated to Los Angeles, he was coaxed into not just acting, but to get into directing. And we all know how that worked out. It's a great career, and, as just growing up with his movies in the background, and he just seemed like a great person. It's weird when someone you don't know, but you feel a kinship with passes. You're like, man, I never knew this person, but somehow they touched my life. And like I said, it was always someone I wanted to meet. There's a book that I've had in my Amazon wish list for a very long time, and it was a biography about Richard Donner called You're the Director, You Figure It Out, The Life and Films of Richard Donner. And I've wanted it for a very long time, and now it'll probably be very hard to find and overpriced. So that's frustrating. And I will eventually find it. Now, in 2006, during the whole time of Superman Returns is when the Richard Donner 2 Superman cut was released. Jeff Johns and Richard Donner wrote a comic together called Last Son of Krypton. And we will actually be recording a review of that soon. And look forward to that, seeing what he, touching back into the world of Superman was always something to his heart. And he'll be missed. Look for those podcasts, like I said, and just search the Cape Wonder podcast. Just dropped one that is a discussion with Brian O'Halloran, who played Non in Superman and Superman 2, and he's looking back at Richard. So check that out. And remember, Richard Donner. If you want to help out this show and any other show on Southgate Media Group, and you really don't have the extra money to do so, check this out. Go to southgatemediagroup.com. At the top, there's a link to Amazon. Click that, log into your Amazon, shop and buy like normal, and part of the money that you spend comes back to us to help us with our podcast. Hello, everybody. I just want to let you know that Southgate Media Group has its own Patreon. That's right. For $5 a month, you can get exclusive shows, content, and interviews with the different podcasters of the network. This Week in Geek is a Patreon exclusive only series. So check it out. Go www.patreon.com/Southgate. We are always adding new content.